Evan, yeah. Greetings, everyone. Pleasant good night to each and everyone tuned in tonight. First and foremost, blessed night, Dangriga, Mabugani Hong Sungmut, Barranco, Baranguna. Since your fellow brother is going to be online tonight, I take it that most of our Baranguna were tuning in as well. Those of you all over Belize, surrounding areas, Hopkins, Sinbite, Punta Gorda, Corozal, Kai, or wherever you may be, blessed evening to each and every one of you. This is Dangriga Unmuted. We unmute the truth, we demand change. Tonight, I am joined by a brother and friend, Mr. Evan Cayetano. And Evan will be talking to us. We're going deep into land, how we could use land, how we could utilize land. What do we need to know about acquiring land? And when we acquire the land, what do we do with it? How do we invest? And how do we profit from owning land here in Belize? Evan, thank you, my brother. And I just want to say we had some hiccups earlier. So normally we start at 8 p.m. It's now 14 past 8. But I take it that the wait will be worth the while. My brother, blessed evening, good night to you. For those who don't know you, kindly introduce yourself to the people of Dangriga and to those in the diaspora and everyone around the world.
All right. Thank you so very much, Uruwei, for having me. This is actually the first time I've ever been on a podcast, I believe. I'm Evan Cayetano, um, hail from Toledo District, born in Barranco, um, lived in the various part of the district and the country. My father was a primary school teacher coming out of Barranco. And he had us all over the country as per a contribution of Garinago teachers to the education of Belize. Um, my travails took me through Belize School of Agriculture, way back then, no longer exists, Belize Technical College, studied marine sciences, and worked with the Inter-American Development Bank for 25 years, and I retired in 2023. So I'm back home. I have never lived in a place as long as I have in Jamaica, um, where I became a public officer, as I'd like to put it, with the work that I did. There was no place I spent continuous 10 years because of the realities of my upbringing and seeking a life for a family. My experience range from, uh, besides my academic achievements, if I could put it that way, work as a protected areas planning specialist. I worked as natural resource management specialist. I retired as a water and sanitation specialist. In all of those endeavors, the use of land is critical. Um, I did not become the farmer I wanted to be, but I'm striving for that now in my latter years.
Evan, land is a hot topic here in Belize. You hear about land scamming, you hear about land grabbing. I have also learned of situations whereby the common man has now become knowledgeable about how valuable land is. And there are individuals who would apply for land with the intention to, one, acquire the land and then resell the land. Tonight, we're going to be talking about these topics. I want to go in details. Let's first start with how Belizeans can approach land ownership strategically. And with that in mind, you and I had a conversation behind the scenes about the Belize Land Act as well. So as you answer this question or you address this question, keep that in mind and share with us, share with my audience the whole idea of the Belize Land Act.
Well, the National Lands Act of Belize provides for Belizeans to acquire land from the state. That would be from the government, and it applies to application for a lease. The law I have not have I must confess, when the last time I looked at these laws was prior to my 2002 change of career. But when I worked with now defunct, everything that I worked, I guess, is defunct in terms of Belizeans. Uh, the when I did protected areas planning and management and work with the Belize Center for Environmental Studies way back then, the Lands Act provided for people to apply for land by the government. The government would provide the first step would be permission to survey. Um,
Mhm.
and based on that permission, having done the survey, one could then apply for a lease. And the lease has conditions. You have to indicate what you intend to do with the lease, and based on fulfillment of the conditions, you could actually acquire the property as owner. And so that's a process, and it used to be, perhaps it still is, whereby your lease payment annually goes towards the purchase price of the land of the property. Um, I think it's a reasonable um, way for government to provide for its people in terms of acquiring land. Um, the persons may identify and complain that the application of the procedure for acquiring land from the government under the National Lands Act may be um, uh, subject to to debate by way of how it is applied. But the spirit of it is, as I explained, to my mind, fair and provide for people to acquire land. What you do with the land thereafter is another topic. Well, I was, if I bring it personal, I was given a permission to survey back in 2015. I surveyed the parcel that I was given permission to survey. I then applied for the lease as per the procedure, and I was advised that all land transactions in Toledo pretty much are on hold, and that this is due to the matter of attending to the CCJ ruling to provide um, communal lands or otherwise attend to the Maya land rights claim that was given in that judgment. So I have not been, and many people I understand, referred to as third parties in Toledo, have not been able to do land transactions because of this claim and the government's attention to providing for that claim by the Mayas. Um, land is I mean, we as humans uh, are in many respects no different from animals, and we are part of the ecosystem. Of course, there's big distinct differences between humans and animals, but by way of our biology, it's essentially the same. Humans are mammals. And there is a way how animals, including humans, could live in harmony with the land. There's a cycle where waste from humans, be it carbon dioxide when you breathe out or excreta, um, that becomes part of the fertility process of soil. And in the air, carbon dioxide is used by plants in a process called photosynthesis to grow and to provide fruits, to provide timber, and all the products that a ecosystem, that a forest, for example, would provide. And so everything within that ecosystem is intertwined, and it would be prudent to engage in whatever activity one does on the land in a way that respects that natural cycle and provide for the productivity of the land. It also provides for ensuring that water, a critical item for living creatures, is kept potable, or at least minimal pollution if one approaches dealing with land in a way that is mindful of this ecosystem function. The government also, yeah, I was also going to say that the government, recognizing these broad services by the ecosystem or ecosystems of different kind in Belize, put in laws to protect the environment, right? So there should not be indiscriminate clearing of land of a certain amount because that could affect the ecosystem in one way or the other. It could affect water. It could affect the animals. Some animals are endangered, and so the government have laws that protect species and ecosystems by way of um, forest reserves, by way of national parks, marine reserves, etc. So these things are embedded within some of these considerations to a large extent are embedded within the laws. For example, you should not cut, at least when I was aware of the mangrove law, forest protection mangrove law, you should not cut more than a quarter acre of mangroves without a permit from the government, because mangroves are deemed to be important for ecosystem function as well as coastal protection, right?
Let's talk about economic opportunities in land ownership. How can
Um,
we go ahead?
Go ahead. No, by way of economic opportunities, that's very broad. I don't know if you have something specific on economic
So
opportunities
when
you want to
we
zero in on.
certainly when we first got started, now as you know, we could use land for so many reasons, right? As mentioned not too long ago, we have individuals, let's say the common man, the common grassroots man, woman, who have become knowledgeable of the importance of land to a certain extent. I have heard situations where people would go and try to acquire land, um, and then, well, not and then, but with the intention to sell the land for a certain amount of money and at very, very cheap price. What do you say? What would you say to the common man, even a businessman, those doing transactions with land with the intention to acquire and then sell? Let's talk about utilizing land and finding the economic benefits of land for every Belizean.
Yeah, on the one side, land speculation may be a thing, because as humans, we try and get as much benefit out of whatever commodity, and land could be looked at as a commodity like that. And given the way how um, there is political influence in land distribution, people could see opportunities for speculation. I think the value of land is such that there is more that one could benefit from if one invests in a piece of land that is provided or that they buy on the private market. Um, by the way, how I grew up, for example, my father was a teacher, as I said in my opening remarks. And even though he was a teacher and earned a salary, I think that if it was not for his working the land, he would not have been able to send his 8 children to higher school at the time in Belize. Um, we did not go to a supermarket. Well, there probably wasn't any supermarket, but we did go to market to buy food in large measure. We grow the food that we eat, or otherwise barter to some extent, which is real. Um, our lands are pretty fertile, and even in your yard, as I come back home in 2023 and reestablish myself home in Barranco, my little space right around my yard producing papaya. I don't go to the market to buy callaloo or any greens anymore. Callaloo grow in my yard. Tomatoes, lime, and those things are right there in the backyard. And we're planting some mangoes. Mangoes will take a little longer. Mango tree, a soursop. I want an ackee tree, and all of these things are contributing to my food security. We can't eat the money, the paper money or the coin money. So my advice to people with land would be to utilize the space, especially if you have some monetary income, to turn that monetary income into improving the land for whatever purpose you want it. You want a house, you could put that money portion by portion into building what you want. You need food. Um, the land is there. You put the seed in the soil, and you get some food. And these things don't take much effort. It takes attention. For example, I separate my food waste from my the waste like cans and plastics and so on. And out of my compost pile, papaya come up, mangoes come up, and these things that I'm telling you, I didn't go out and buy the seeds necessarily. Well, my sister gave me a sucker for banana and plantain. But in large measure, what is growing in the yard is just taking it out of, in Garifuna, we call it hime. It's a compost pile. And we take out the things that grow there naturally and we plant them out and we get products. So it's as simple as that, or it could be as sophisticated as if one wants to do a major farm, for example, um, and grow cash crops, coconut or grown food or so on. And I guess a lot of this is as well dependent on people's tastes, right? Some people may prefer the processed food, which even though the doctors say it's not good for you, over natural healthy foods. For example, we don't have to buy the Irish potato. We could plant gucho, we could plant yampi, we could plant yam. And those things are really, really healthy. Maybe you have to develop a palate for it, because people's palates are different. But by way of health, those are really healthy foods. And with you couple that with fish from the sea, if we have healthy ecosystems, we have the gibnut, we have deer, we have peccary, and that's part of the natural productivity of land. So as humans, we could be stewards of land to make it provide for what we need. And the basic needs for all humans would be food, clothing, shelter. I mean, we just rattle that off the mouth. And how the opportunities we have in Belize, one could easily provide for one's food security rather than depending on imports to provide for our food, our food needs. Communal land is a construct that has ended. Communal land is a construct that still is yet to be defined. Traditionally, we Garinago, we depended. Well, first of all, we came here without any land. We were exiled from Saint Vincent, and if it was not for our boating, our seamanship, put it that way, abilities, and the the fact that we live off the land and sea, that we would not have survived, right? When I see we waving cassava and planting in our celebration, that's a depiction that wherever we land, we could ensure a crop within 6 to 9 months. And our ladies were the ones who did the farming. The men cleared the land, the ladies did the farming, and the men would go out and fish. And that was our sustenance. We get the protein from the sea, we get our carbohydrates and vitamins and minerals and so on, those essential items for healthy living from those two areas. We were never owners. Remember that the this entire region were colonized, and so the colonial masters were the owners. We had to make do with the space that we could live. And if they come and they chase us off a piece of place, we could pick up and move and again find another space. Because in those days when we were moving around, sea and sun was not a major thing, right? The economic drivers were tobacco, were sugarcane in the Caribbean, and in Belize was logging. It was not agriculture, but again, you need food to eat, and we survived by those kinds of skills and those kinds of abilities. We have our spiritual practices, whereby in our ceremony we need the sea. We 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 need materials from the forest to make the dabuyaba, the sticks, the thatch. Um, we depend on the natural ecosystem for herbs, for medicine, for things like that. So there is room and there is need for Garifuna villages to have spaces where we could engage in these activities for our living and by our spirituality and so on. The Mayas are still much, and completing on the Garinago, we integrated into the Belizean society before the Mayas. The Mayas are still closer. I finished primary school in San Antonio, so I have some kind of experience in understanding how the Mayas live. My alma mater, I spent standard 4, 5, and 6 in San Antonio. My alma mater is San Luis Rey Primary School here in Toledo District, right? They have been closer to the land for a longer period or for up to a later period than we Garinago. Much of us Garinago, for example, Barranco, a lot of Barranco people are in the diaspora, have become professionals in their own right, attorneys, doctors, engineers, whatever, and live outside of Barranco. And in getting there, we had the experience of my family, for example, in teaching the Mayas. Now, coming back home, I see that much of the teachers now in the Maya communities are Mayas themselves, which is good, right? But there is still, I would think, a significant proportion of that people who want to hold on to or need to hold on to their natural way of living. And that involves the milpa, slash and burn, and moving around in certain spaces. I'm not sure how secure our border is for people to move across from Guatemala and Honduras and Salvador into Belize. Um, and by that, there are people who the best economic opportunity for them is to remain closer to the land for their sustenance, for their livelihood. Um, but as times are changing and as they integrate, some of the Maya leaders themselves clamoring for communal land, have land spaces in town, and have private property. So the clamor for communal land, I am not too sure about. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know how the government intends to deal with it, vis-a-vis the way how government provide for lands for its people by way of the National Lands Act, for example. That needs to happen. The dialogue or the negotiations on the Maya land claim by the CCJ seem to be only between government and the Maya leadership, and I don't know about any meaningful reporting that keeps track of how that negotiation between government and the Mayas is going. But in short, there are spaces that indigenous peoples, and we Garifuna people are indigenous, that utilize spaces for communal purposes. Also, from a planning perspective, there should be spaces that a local government, for example, a village council, would have control over for its people to be able to provide for not only parks, which would be, an, an item that is needed in any community, public spaces within the village, but also spaces adjacent or buffering the village, whereby people could go and get products that are provided by the forest for them to live in a way. So, there, to my mind, the clamoring, if that is what the Mayas want, right, by way of communal land, that kind of service is also beneficial to any community, to be able to hunt to some extent, within reason, to get materials for roofing, thatch. It's very important. So the cocoon palm is very important, and other products of the forest, including meat, protein, right? All of these things could be controlled and regulated, if there is partnership between the national authorities, like, for example, the forest department, with the village council.
I want to ask you to comment briefly on a matter that's in the news currently. This is somewhat controversial. And before I share this info, I have a very close friendship with a Maya brother who called me today and kind of give me some insights into what's happening with the $40 million grant that was just announced. And before I proceed, I want to say today we're gonna have two segments. In shortly, I'll have Earth Lopez, caretaker of the UDP, and her team coming on. For those of you who tuned in at 8 and we weren't live, it's because I had some hiccups. So I'll go a little bit later today. Now, we watched in the news, or maybe let me play this real quick and I'll ask you to comment. I have a quick question and I want you to comment on this as well.
I believe that the Ministry of Economic Transformation was the ministry responsible for assisting with that process. When myself and Minister Shabat were in South Korea, where the headquarters for the GCF is located in Seoul, we had an opportunity to get an update from them. This was the first week of November of last year. That's when I became aware of how far along they were with this. So it's, as you know, the Green Climate Fund has assistance to various entities, countries that are adversely affected by climate change. And this is in that spirit to assist indigenous groups around the world who are suffering from extreme weather conditions that affect their agriculture, or coastline erosion that affect their villages, etc. So that is what I am aware of, and we are also in conversation. We had a conversation with them about also considering the Garifuna community as well. I believe that the Ministry of Economic Transformation.
Unfortunately,
So my question is this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if anybody else caught it, but I'm being very careful because there is more information needed. And for those of you tuned in, the information I have is premature, but I just want to put this out there just so that we know what's happening nationally when it comes to land. We know what's happening nationally when it comes to indigenous people. So the minister made mention that they will see if they could consider the Garifuna people in this $40 million grant. What's your take on that?
$40 million grant is a sizable grant. And it would be instructive to know what are the conditions for a grant, because having worked with an international organization myself, there are always conditions. There's always a requirement as well, unless it's private to private sector giving some other private entity money. But once it has to go through government for approval, like the likes of World Bank or GCF, Global Environmental Facility, that kind of entity, Caribbean Development Bank, there is always a requirement for what is referred to as government's non-objection, or otherwise government's approval of the grant. The first part of the statement by the minister seemed to refer to GCF headquarters in Korea. I don't know if that is indeed where this money is coming from, or if it is coming from the government of South Korea directly to the government of Belize for specific people. We don't know. It would be good to know. And normally grants are not at that level. If it is a climate grant, by way of the GCF, the procedure is pretty strict. It recognizes what is being done by the entities, by the communities, by the peoples affected on the one hand, and how what they've been doing by their livelihood is exacerbated, put it that way, by way of climate change. So you have to have an understanding of what obtains, what they've been doing, how they've been impacted then by climate change, and then it is that additional amount caused by, or that additional distress caused by climate would be what is financed. So it's a bit surprising to me that the word is that they have this grant. If they have this grant, then it would be great to see how they came by that. Or maybe it is a situation where the grant, they have an opportunity to apply for a grant. We don't know, or I don't know. And if it is an opportunity to apply for a grant, that is still quite involved to get to that stage, to meet all these requirements to get the grant. By way of indigenous communities, and one of the things the minister said was coastal erosion. As far as I know, there is no Maya community on the coast. We Garifuna people are indigenous people, and we utilize, as I explained, the coast for our livelihood. And indeed, one of the projects I'm working on, the first project by my organization, Legacy Conservancy, Walangante, is a study of the cause of erosion of Barranco's shoreline. And based on we are grateful to have received an award of 150,000 Belize dollars from the Belize Fund for Sustainable Future to do this study, and for the consultants to provide recommendations for the intervention to mitigate, or for us to adapt to this matter of shoreline erosion caused by increased sea level rise, caused by climate change. So if the grant would also look at providing for addressing coastal erosion, Barranco should be a beneficiary, because what we're doing with $150,000 is only sufficient for 1 year study, better than nothing, of course. But it also does not provide for implementation of the recommendations once those recommendations are received. So we'll be in a position to demonstrate that by this study, we should do X, Y, Z, replant mangroves, do some shoreline engineering, whatever it is. And with the money from the Belize Fund, we have engaged a consulting firm with the requisite expertise. We have a marine scientist, we have a coastal engineer, And we have geographic information systems specialists such that we could um, have the data properly stored in a repository and utilized for ongoing monitoring. Because I said a 1 year study is only that, is only a 1 year study. To understand the shoreline, you need continuous monitoring. And we're trying to get some historical records that we could look at, that the consultants could look at and give us recommendations.
Evan, in the interest of time, I will give you the opportunity to give your closing remarks. But before that, folks, again, we'll have Earth Lopez, caretaker of the United Democratic Party, Dangriga constituency, and her team coming on in just a bit. We're talking about land development, acquiring land, investing in land, how we could make our land economically beneficial for ourselves. Now, Evan, and first and foremost, thanks again for making the time. Land is very, very important. There's this story that I read not too long ago about Taiwan, and I tried to get some information from a friend living in Taiwan. This is what I understand when it comes to land in Taiwan. Let's just say a foreigner, anyone that is not a Taiwanese coming to Taiwan, in order for them to secure any building or structure or land, they have to partner or team up with a Taiwanese, someone who has residency. What do you think about that arrangement in reference to making it happen like that here in Belize for us Belizeans? That, you know, most of us are having less, and then we have others having more. Granted, it's open market. If you have the money, if you can afford it, you come and you do it based out of honesty. But what if we have a system like that, when anybody that's not a Belizean would come and want to buy or acquire land, they have to partner with a resident? What's your take on that?
My friend, there are different ways how government deal with its economic situation. Some countries, and Belize used to be like this, I'm not sure if it still is, provide for what is called economic citizenship. You know, you come in with lots of money, you could buy the place, and they give you incentives to use your money coming into the place. Some islands in the Caribbean actually do that as well, and they refer to it as economic citizenship. There are other spaces where the use of land is subjected to a policy by government where they determine highest and best use, however they define that. For example, they may map their entire country and realize that, look, we have only limited arable land, land suitable for agriculture. These lands will not be used for industries going somewhere else. And so they organize themselves accordingly. As a public officer myself, having worked, even though I work with an international organization, it was a public international organization. So I consider myself a public servant. And I believe that government should take care of the most marginalized and vulnerable first. There are certain things, infrastructure that government should pay for everybody, like roads, drainage, water. But even water, for example, those who could pay the full cost of producing and receiving water should pay for it, and only those marginalized should get a subsidy. Now, to do that, you have to have your demographics well. You have to know your statistics of who actually need it. Why would someone who could afford to make payments for utilities receive subsidies, right? So, in the work of government, to my mind, it should be that those who can't afford, for example, proper higher education, that the government would provide for that. That by way of its economic development, government would define not just those academic pursuits that are required, but also provide for those students to get into the working world and have the requisite skills. So if, for example, agriculture becomes a main thing for the government, or tourism, or whatever it is, we train our people along those lines and provide for when they come out of school that they enter a job market rather than, fighting for like musical chairs where there is only limited space for people. We should have a kind of development focus where everybody would have an opportunity. Could have a policy, for example, with the land space that we have, that instead of giving a 75 by 100 lot, it could be a little bigger, and encourage them in schools that you could plant certain things to augment your food bill and so on. We would have civil society organizations that encourage people and teach people civic duties in addition to entrepreneurial skills for them to be able to help themselves. And this, to my mind, could be engendered within some overall development plan sanctioned by the government for all its people.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my take on that.
All right. My audio wasn't unmuted. So as we close off, as you're getting ready for your concluding remarks, I want us to go directly to the meat. Let's cut all the fat. Land, our big issue at Belize. People getting into problems with land. It is so difficult to acquire land nowadays. Just so many situations that come out of land. What would you say to every Belizean out there that, one, appeal to those who don't have land and should get land, appeal to those who have land, they're not doing anything with the land, appeal to those who probably can invest in land but are not investing? Your closing remarks, my brother.
To people who do not have land and want land, you have to engage in trying to get land. And there is a process for that. To some extent, it also impinges on politics. But so you have to do what you have to do to acquire the land. To those who have it, I think you should cherish it and do something with it. I think you could get more out of your land in developing the land, utilizing the land, instead of speculating and selling, trying to find the highest bidder, because money is liquid, and by science, liquid evaporate, right? If you channel your money into what you could see as benefit out of your land, to my mind, that would be the best approach, especially if you have a little bit of money, especially if you're working and you could turn some of that money back into your land. You could really, by the time you retire, or if you're not, if you have a job, or if you just have the land and you don't have a job, and you do whatever work, put your money into that land to improve the land, and by that you'll be improving yourself. I think the government should have a plan to support Belizeans investors. In many countries, they call them small and micro medium enterprise. The government did a wonderful thing in the north in establishing the sugar industry and how that evolved. In the case of Barranco, we were producers as well. We did not benefit from government continuing to support our productivity in this area. In the north, government provided for people to own their land. And in those days as well, the government had a survey department that it did not cost anybody to survey the land once the government approved. Right. So to acquire land has become more expensive, and land is not growing. Right. So the limited amount of land is getting even more limited as time goes on, and people with huge acreages, they should be encouraged to utilize those lands. But all of this has political implications in the sense that these would have to be, for example, a coherent land policy would require government approval, just like everything else.
Evan, thank you, my brother. I feel we just to get warmed up. This is usually the point where we start digging to most of the questions and get into the answers where a lot of people hear the itch for. Brother, I definitely would love to invite you again sometime in the near future, and to give us more insight in acquiring land, how to care for our land, how to use the land to become more economically prosperous. Evan, Cayetano, my brother, thank you so much for tonight. Folks, you've heard it. Let me watch the comment. I don't see any questions. So for now, what I'll do, we're going to take a quick break, couple seconds, not even a minute, so I could bring on Earth and her team. Evan, Bandi Sereme.
My pleasure, bro. All the best.
not. Friends and family, BT Guyon, good night to each and everyone. This is Dangriga Unmuted. We unmute the truth, we demand change. This is the second segment of tonight's episode. Tonight, I have with me caretaker for the United Democratic Party, Dangriga constituency, Earth Lopez, Yadira Diego. We have about 3 or 4 of you. Now, you have to pardon me because I don't have all of the names down pack, right? But no worry, I know Yadira, I know Earth, I know the sister in face, but pardon me, I'll remember your name tonight. Let me bring you guys on, make minor adjustments, and I'll allow you to briefly introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself to the people of Dangriga. Greetings to each and every one of you. Let's start with Earth. Earth, just give the people a brief introduction as to what you're about, who you are, how you get into politics, and what you're up to. Very, very brief.
Okay, thank you so much for having us, King Cyril Uruwei. Good night. It's a privilege for us to be on your show tonight. I'm Earth Feliz Lopez, and I was elected the caretaker of the Dangriga constituency in October of 2025. And that journey was a long one. I started off as a councillor candidate all the way back in 2011. I ran for municipal elections 4 times, and I served 2 terms, 3 years as deputy mayor and another 3 years as councillor. And I also served on the constituency committee for some years as the YPF rep. And so I've been around for some time. And this was always my goal, to capture the highest seat in the constituency for the UDP. And it is also my goal to walk up the stairs of the National Assembly one of these days to represent our beautiful constituency and to finally position Dangriga as the culture capital we say we are. And so this is just a work in progress. So that's just a brief
I have
introduction.
to I have to admit, you give me little chills when you say walk up the National Assembly, but I know that'll be a chilling moment.
Yes.
Let's go to Yadira. Yadira, talk to me, sister. Tell me who you are. Tell the people watching right now who you are, how you get into politics, what can we expect from you, and just give me your title in a few words. What's your title
Okay.
in the United Democratic Party, Dangriga
Well, my
constituency?
okay. Thank you, Uruwei, for having us here tonight.
What Maggie?
Good night, viewers. My name is Yadira Diego. I'm presently the cheerleader for the Dangriga constituency, Sarawi and Hope Creek. And I've been in politics a while. I think me and Mrs. start together. We never depart. As colleagues, because we keep in communication, because we have the same mindset, the same view for our community, the love for our community, and what we want, the different changes here in Dangrega. So we have the same view, and I know she's intelligent, and she have the brain to do what needs to get done here in Dangrega. We need people like that, Uruway. So that's why I'm here, and I know she know why she chose me to be her cheerleader, because we will work together for the betterment of the party and for the betterment of our community.
Very good. Thank you, Yadira. My dear sister on the left, talk to me. Introduce yourself.
Good night. Good night, viewers. Good night, host. My name is Shirley McCain. I've been a teacher for the past 26 years, an educator. I have long been involved in the political arena. Our lead down low, yes. um, I have recently stepped forward, as brave as I am, due to Miss Earth. She approached me and asked that I joined her team, and knowing that she's a very capable and hardworking, spirit driven like myself, I agreed to come on board and be a part of her team. So I willingly accepted, and from there on, we had the convention, and after winning the convention, I was given the position as a delegate in the executive, as part of the executive, and that again was another tremendous achievement for myself. All right, and I'm also the leader for the national organization for women, now for the UDP in this constituency, and I have vowed, along with my capable assistant, Ms. Jolene Dawson, to do as much as we can to build community spirit. I will not talk about that as yet. Yes, but I'm going to give you more details before the end of the show. What is it that my organization, my specific tasks entails? So with that, I would just want to say thanks for having us, and thank you viewers for listening to us.
You all a great deal. Listen, I try keep it clean cut as possible. Give everybody the opportunity to share who they are, present what plans they have for Dangriga. I want to first start by acknowledging Earth as a caretaker. We live in a country, Belize is small, Dangriga is small. During the convention for caretaker, Earth and I had a conversation, a deep conversation, and we kind of may rub each other in our kind of way. But I have to give Earth credit in this aspect because I've experienced disagreement with individuals who might hesitate to make peace or even approach you or call you. So I said all of that, Earth, just to say, on that note, I salute you to be mature, to pick up the phone and to call Cyril Uruwei now with the chop it up. And that is how it's supposed to be. So I see this just as a message to each and every one of us in Dangriga. Politics is a nasty, dirty game, and you have to have thick skin for it. Okay, you will be offended. People are call you out. I catch feelings, get under your skin. So again, Earth, I salute you on that note. You're brave. I love that about you. I don't know much about you. I can't tell you I'll vote for you yet. but but I love that about you. Now, moving on to the meat and the nitty-gritty of this discussion. Let's talk about national issues to start with, because a lot of national issues are taking place that are definitely affecting Dangriga. The UDP, the United Democratic Party, has fallen almost to the ground. Let's just say to their knees. And you guys are rebuilding nationally, locally, everywhere. In a nutshell, tell us about that rebuilding process. If Earth, only you want to answer, or if all three, I don't have a little bit to say about it. I'm all ears.
Um, so the rebuilding process, I would say, started November 30th when we didn't have a contested convention, but rather we had an endorsement of the new leader of the United Democratic Party, Honorable Tracy Tager Panton. So for some years we had a lot of struggle in deciding who is the leader of the UDP. And so I believe when we finally came to one conclusion, one leader, that was where the rebuilding actually started for us on a national level. And even before getting there, when we were electing the various caretakers for each constituency, that was all a part of the rebuilding process. And here in the Dangriga constituency, we believe heavily on putting our house together first. And rebuilding for us means that we have space for everybody under the tent. And so you would see me working with even the people who contested against me in the convention. And so it's about bringing everybody together. Unity is important as we rebuild, and that is the first line of business for us in the Dangriga constituency.
My other sister, you have anything to say about that, or should we
Um,
proceed?
yeah, I'll just piggyback on what our caretaker mentioned. I mentioned this. I always mention it. We, charity starts at home, and we had to shake up ourselves, look in the mirror, deal with what we have to deal with before we now come out to you guys. You know, and it's coming on. When it comes stronger than ever here. When you can, when it come on
I,
stronger,
I love the sound of that. You know what, Earth? I'll be a little cheeky before we get into deeper things. The only thing I have against you right now that because you take Yadira from me, but we are left that like that for now. So mad respect to Yadira. Red, blue, pink, no matter where Yadira go, I gotta salute Yadira. Yadira is a good one.
Yes.
National issues. You guys are organizing to get to know affairs together. I want to get straight to the point. I understand that you guys will have 3 slates. So far, we're only for a mayoral election, that is. So far, we're only seeing 1 slate or visibly, publicly. What can you tell me about that?
First of all, I am proud that we have attracted a lot of viable candidates to the United Democratic Party. And we have a lot of people who have said that they're interested in running. The deadline for applications will be March 13th. And so we will have to wait until the deadline closes for us to know exactly who applied. And then we'll have to wait an additional week or two to find out who were actually approved. And so I really can't speak on the candidates as yet because they haven't been approved. But we do welcome the candidates going around, introducing themselves to the community, campaigning, even launching their team to the community and asking for that support. So we're expecting that we will be going to our membership to select the final team, which will be one mayoral candidate and 6 councillor candidates. Until that is done or until the candidates have been approved, then I can speak more about who these candidates are. But we have attracted some capable, viable candidates, and I'm so pleased about that. And I can say that we will present a team to the Dangriga constituency that will bring hope to this community and a team that the community can be proud of and a team that they can depend that we definitely will be developing Dangriga on a larger scale once we get there in 2027.
Be privy to know the names of the mayoral candidates. I'm familiar with Dwayne. Is he Dwayne Sampson, correct?
Yes.
Who are the other two
I really
for
can't
mayoral
say
candidates?
I really can't say because I'm not sure myself if they're still interested. I saw one team they put out their slate already, and I haven't heard from the other two who were interested. And so I don't want to publicly mention their names because I don't even know if they're still going to contest. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see who applied and who are approved after March 13th. So they would have to be the one to come out and say, "Hey, I'm still running," or "I'm still interested," and they would have to put that information out there.
What's the process, the approval process? So even doing Samson and his team, they're not quite approved just yet. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's correct. So after the 13th of March, their applications will be vetted by the nominations committee, and the nominations committee will approve or disapprove each candidate to run in a convention. That is, if we have more than one mayoral candidate, we will go to a convention, and if we have more than six councillor candidates, we will go into a convention for councillors.
Understand that Crystalline Castillo is running. She has been campaigning, so it's
Oh,
not a rumor. What's the likelihood of the United Democratic Party, Dangriga constituency, having a convention? What's
as
the
long as it's
likelihood?
more than one, as long as it's more than one mayoral candidates who are approved, then we will have to go to a convention. Yes. So then it's
Earth,
going to depend on the nominations committee, and it's going to also depend on if they apply, how many of them will apply.
what is different about this era? What is different about Earth Lopez that we, the people, should confide in you to lead us here in Dangriga?
I think my leadership has brought a lot of hope, and that is one thing that we've been lacking in our community. And our people are looking forward to something to be hopeful for. And also, along with that hope comes my ability to galvanize, to strategize, and to create plans, and also to act on those plans. And I'm going to add to that my proven track record as well of leadership of my time in electoral politics, um, of my time as a teacher. And so my proven ability to lead, that is definitely something that people are gravitating towards. But I definitely inspire and incite a lot of hope in the people around me, and hopefully it's going to transcend through the entire community and the constituency.
Those of us in politics, Earth, I recall last election when I ran, everybody asked you, what have you done? I mean, you're running. What have you really done for the people of Dangriga? Your track record. I've heard of your track record actually, and I know you have experience, but tell the Dangriga people, what exactly have you done that qualifies you to become the next era representative for Dangriga, Sarawi, and Hope Creek?
I think it's a combination of what I've done, of who I am, of what I'm currently doing, and of what I intend to do. So it's not just one question of what I've done, but when we look at it holistically, it's about everything. It's about who I am as a person, it's about my grit, it's about my integrity, but most importantly, it's about the love that I have for my community, which I have demonstrated from a very young age. And when we put all of these things together, I believe it more than qualifies me to be the next era representative for this constituency.
We also have Aaron Anderson in the waiting room. Aaron, I think he's still there. If you need to say
Right.
anything, Yadira, if you want to chime in, any one of you, if you want to chime in, just feel free to express yourselves. Aaron, you have anything to say? You know what? Let me bring on Aaron. Introduce
Right.
yourself to the people. 1 second. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are. What's your role in the United Democratic Party, Dangriga constituency?
Good evening, everybody. Aaron Anderson. I am one of the people that challenged Earth at the convention on October 5th.
I was going to mention that. Continue. You take it out of my mouth.
Well, we have to kill that stone one time. And then ever since that time, we we have had a very collaborative relationship as far as how can we move forward together for unite everybody. I mean that the word everybody to talk about right now, unity. And I currently am a alternate on the executive, and I have some of the PR responsibilities that I am taking care of. And other than that, basically whatever is necessary, wherever Miss Earth sees fit to put me in, I am in. So that's my role basically, Mister. Whatever I can do to help.
On Earth and team. National issues. What are some of the national issues have you guys been addressing? Have you guys been championing national issues that affect Dangriga? What are some of these issues?
We
It could
do
be
have
educating the masses. It could be doing something about it. What are some of the national issues that you guys have been championing?
we have been engaged in all the national issues currently, and we do have in the pipeline very soon to host a press conference from the Dangriga constituency, where we will also talk about how these issues are affecting us here in Dangriga and some of our own issues. So while we think it's important for us to talk about the national issues, we also want to focus on what is affecting us here in Dangriga town. We want to talk about our local issues. We've been on the campaign trail and we've been hearing a lot from our residents. They've been complaining about the services at the hospital. They've been complaining about their sick children getting masks for their nebulizer that have been used already. The doctors and nurses, they have to purchase their own gloves. We've been hearing complaints about the streets, the potholes, drainage, and so there are a lot of local issues as well that we intend to host a press conference very soon to shed some light on. Um, and so for us, we focus a lot on what we're hearing from our constituents on the ground. And we also want to focus a lot more on the local issues. But we do get engaged on a weekly basis on the national issues. I also sit on the shadow cabinet and we speak about the national issues weekly in shadow cabinet meetings. And so when you see the press releases going out on behalf of the UDP, I'm also engaged in that process. And so we're very much engaged. We have an active executive where we speak every day and we speak about these national issues and local issues as well.
Want to focus on local issues, things affecting us directly here in Dangriga. I think we really need to do that. On that same note, what is your take on commerce bite?
Can you ask a more specific question? What's my take on what
Sure,
exactly?
sure, sure. Yeah, that's so. What is your take on commerce bite as it pertains to economic development for Dangriga? What is your take on commerce bite as it relates to the common man benefiting from the development? What is your take on commerce bite when it comes to who's investing in Jetty commerce bite?
Okay, so when it comes to Commerce by Peer, I understand that it's a public-private partnership. And so the government, along with a private investor, will be investing in the Commerce Byte project. The United Democratic Party does not oppose development, and so we welcome all development to our municipality and to our constituency. My issue is we expect that the locals will feel the development, that the locals will participate in the development at a high level. So we want to be able to invest as well in these projects. We want to be more than domestic workers when the time comes. We want to be able to have our small businesses. We want to benefit at a higher level. And so when it comes to that project, I would want to make a public appeal for more information to be shared. And particularly, we would want to know how our residents can benefit at a higher level when it comes to the business part of the project and how we can be partners with what's going on at the Commerce Bite project.
Let's hear from Yadira and the other. My dear sister, our stop semi-sister. Tell me your name. Look at watch out, our type sister. Here we go on. I give you a
My
special treatment tonight, man. You deserve it. I don't call your name yet.
my name
So
is
here we go on. Spell a name for me. Let me enter this into this. You say we have to be nice to each other, right? Tell me your
Yes.
name again.
Shirley, SHA.
Cheryl Lee.
Yes.
Rolee.
R-A.
Ralee.
Lee.
What's your last name?
Louis McCain.
Louis. Can I just say Louis?
Yes,
Or
sir. Most
All right.
definitely.
Spell the full thing. Is it MC McCain, you said?
MAKIN.
MAKIN.
MAKIN, McKin. Okay, thank you, my dear sister, Shirley Lewis McKin. All right, now that your name going under the title, right? You're special tonight. So let me hear from let me hear from Yadira, and then I could hear from Shirley as to your take on Commerce Bite, and then Aaron Anderson.
Okay. Well, for me, with the Commerce Bike situation, and I remember me, you, and Earth was in that same meeting with our area representative in Dangriga Council when he mentioned it is already sealed. Whatever they signed is already sealed. And a lot of us had questions. And one of my question, I didn't went up to ask any question, but I know a lot of you guys went up and asked question. As a community, we want to be a part of, and we want our locals to have something, some part of this pie where they get shared at jetty. And we don't want to just be domestic. We don't want to be sweep no street, eat sweep no and clean nothing. We want to be a part of. We want to have our own business there. My one of the what and I know it, and not only me had this picture. I know a lot of people had this picture. We will have something like a what they have in Belize that the tourists go where you go tourist village where everybody could go and set up their business up there and have that was my insight about the development. So the way it seems, I don't know if that is any way possible. And so that is my take about that. So I don't know what they are doing, and we want to know, like my caretaker say, we want to know exactly what they are doing with that because it look like they keep everything under the rug.
Before we go to Shirley, let's hear from Mr. Aaron Anderson. Your take on Commerce Bite, my brother. What's your hope for Dangriga when it comes to Commerce Bite?
Transparency. One word. There is a complete lack of transparency in this whole thing. And whenever you see movements like that, you know that at some point you're getting, I have to be careful with my words. You're getting taken advantage of in some way. So here's my thought. Um, as Yadira said, kind of like tourist village. Thinking about tourist village, we know what amount of ships come into the tourist village on a weekly basis during flow season and tourist season. We have those statistics. We don't have any idea of what's going to happen, what the projections are, nothing. So, taking that in mind, I'm trying to propose a business plan for each potential business that local Dahrigans can set up there. What difficult for them because you have no idea what the plan actually is. And to hear that the area rep said that whatever the deal is already sealed, then if it's sealed, why aren't the constituents aware of what's going on? That's my whole take on it.
Here on Shirley.
Yes, colleague, transparency, accountability, and credibility. Why? Because Dangriga is the culture capital, and I want to believe that Commerce Bight has ties with the Garifuna heritage. And I don't have that much information, which I would like for disclosure of the operation holistically so that I can give a better view or clarification on actually what is occurring there at Commerce Bight. But I would want to see that my people in my community benefit benefit more from what Commerce Bight has to offer. Um, my colleague mentioned earlier as well that it has been a done and sealed deal. Again, information is not out there because I don't have that much information as to how, what, where, why. I have so many questions
There's so many
myself,
consultations.
right? I believe that we need more consultation, we need more disclosure on the issues on the issue of commerce, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe that my people are really benefiting much from the project. So accountability, transparency, it is not there for me. So it
Shirley,
doesn't.
thank you. One more question before we get into the local, the topic of the United Democratic Party locally. For some time now, activist Jerry Enriquez has been fighting for redistricting. We have so many districts that are malapportioned. We are currently underrepresented. For example, we have Stan Creek West, which is run by Rodwell, right?
Yes.
Mr. Rodwell. They have at about 11,000 registered voters. Dangriga has about 6,300. Dangriga fits in the same bracket as Orange Walk. How have the UDP, and particularly the Dangriga branch, how have you been building awareness, educating the people about this disadvantage? What have you been doing about that?
Well, we've been doing a lot of house to house visits, and one of the things that I promised when I was campaigning to be the caretaker is that I will keep in touch. And so I'm always visiting with the voters. I'm not waiting until it's election time. And so we have a lot of one on one conversations with our voters. The first things first is that we encourage everyone to register to vote. Your voice, your vote, your power. And so we encourage all our residents to vote, to register to vote. It is your democratic right for you to participate in this process in selecting who will be your leaders. And when it comes to the sizes of the constituencies, the UDP does not we are not against um, redistricting. We actually welcome this exercise and we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having our constituencies being more fair and proportioned in a fair manner. We have some huge constituencies that are being run by one elected representative, and it's definitely unfair. And so we welcome redistricting. And I can say that the borders have been changed when it comes to town council elections. The tongue borders have been changed, and so we're looking at an exercise that took place recently to change the borders of the municipalities. And in some cases, only 7 voters were affected. So a lot of money was spent to change these borders, and it didn't have a huge impact on the voters list. And this is in time for the next municipal election next year. And so we want to see the same effort from the government when it comes to this redistricting exercise, which was promised to us before the next general election. And we in the UDP, we welcome our redistricting exercise to be done.
In addition,
Team, any additional
yes,
response
in
or
addition
responses?
to what Ms. Earth mentioned, I must applaud Mr. Enriquez for his hard work
Mhm.
in redistricting. All right, because population move, population grows, and basically, from my view, um, is to give people a fair and equitable chance. One vote, one person, one vote. It matters. All right, so that's just my
Mr.
take.
Anderson?
Yes, sir. My take on it is, I think we had this conversation before, where I stated that we continue to be underrepresented in the South, and this redistricting should have been take place years ago. We can't expect to continue to have equal representation when our tongue continues to grow, our constituencies in the south continues to grow, and we still have 4 people for the southern half of the country representing it. So, all aboard with Mr. Enriquez. I was before the last 2 elections actually, champion or at least talking out loud about redistricting. Not necessarily on Mr. Enriquez's level, but it was definitely part of my conversations, and I stand with everyone else on this team where we know it needs to happen for the betterment of our representation down south.
Thank you, my brother. Now, let's dive into the rebuilding of the United Democratic Party. Crystalline seemed to definitely be running. I believe I have her scheduled to come on tentatively. I know reliable reports is that you have another slate that will eventually pop up. How organized are you? How ready are you? How united are you? How united is the United Democratic Party?
So we are uniting. So it's a continuous exercise that we've started, and it's going to be continuous. It's going to be ongoing. And when it comes to, I'm not sure what your question was with crystalline. Like I said, we will know after the applications have been approved who are approved to run, and then we'll know if we'll be heading into a convention. But when it comes to going into a convention, we are hoping, and we are appealing to all the candidates that we remain united. Whoever is victorious at the end of the convention, that the other candidates remain a part of the team to secure victory in March of 2027. And so, us uniting after an exercise such as a convention, it really depends on the candidates who are running. Because I can take the example of Mr. Aaron Anderson. After our convention, he stayed back and he stood with me as I was sworn in. And up to today, he's still standing with me. And because of that, all of his supporters who were supporting him in that convention are also standing with me. And so, this is the type of unity that we want to display, that we are displaying, and that we are appealing to the candidates who will be going into this convention, for them to display as well when it's all said and done. Because our goal is to secure victory for the party in March 2027.
And the reason why I press on this question, Earth, Theron, Shirley, when the first general election that PUP won, the convention prior to that, PUP convention, and you guys were more deeper into this than I am at the time. I know there was Erica Jang, there was Gregory Ovado, and then there was Louis Abani, which a lot of people, based on their assessment, they said that, well, it was due to the fact that Erica Jang and Gregory Ovado, Mr. Ovado, which is a dear friend of mine as well, they insisted on running, right? Nobody may want to step down, so to speak. And then Louis Abani just ended up taking it, not because he was popular, not because he was the one, but due to politics and how politics work, he just ended up to take it. So hence the reason why I asked. You answered. Thank you for your question. Now, moving forward, we are used to a system here in Belize, a political system where we in Dangriga, for the most part, I'm sure other constituencies as well, but I'm Grigalian, Dangriga na au. So I want to focus on Dangriga. We are used to this political system where we wait for Belize City to play the music and then we dance. For the most part, we've heard of stories, many, many stories. What type of assurance can you give the people of Dangriga that should you be elected, how do we know for sure that you will, no matter what, will stand for people over party?
It's Dangriga first at all times. We will set precedents for the entire party in the Dangriga constituency. We will be the trailblazers for this party, and we will have to give them the blueprint of how it should be done. And I'm telling you that we are trailblazing. We have set up our youth arm, we're active, we set up our women's arm, we've had our first membership meeting, and we're doing a lot that the other constituencies are looking at Dangriga and saying, you know what, we need to start move like how Dangriga to move. And that's how I'm doing business in the United Democratic Party, and I expect no different whenever I get the opportunity to serve, because like my chair lady said, it's home first. And so we have to take care of our house first. And it's always people first, and it's always Dangriga first. I stand by that.
The Honorable Tracy Tega Panton, who I respect so much, who I also know personally, I like the first move, the first step that she or you guys took, the UDP took in electing John Castillo, which is somewhat, in my opinion, how you call it? What's the term? Like you give a leaf, right?
Yeah.
What type of, has there been any discussion? Let's just say, let's assume that you win 2030. You become the era representative for Dangriga, Sarawi, and Hope Creek. Currently, we don't have any era representative in from the South. I don't think we have any in the Senate. What type of assurance, or have you asked or negotiated in advance that should you win that Dangriga will have some type of ministry?
I think the shadow cabinet portfolios is already an indication of how the leadership feels about my leadership and about me as a person. And so I've been given a shadow ministry as opposed to a shadow assistant ministry. And that is indicative of where we're heading. I'm sure that the leadership of the UDP has a lot of faith in the leadership that I bring to the table. And we're always thinking about ways to show that we're inclusive. That is one of the approaches that the Honorable Tracy Tager Panton is taking. She wants to be inclusive as much as possible. And for that reason, she promised us that the vice chair of the party will come from the South. And she delivered on that promise. And so I'm sure that as not only a Southern representative, but a female, a Garifuna woman, that we will be prioritized and we are already being prioritized. And the leadership of the UDP, um, they do have a lot of confidence in what I bring to the table.
This is more a question for Dwayne Sampson. I hope to get the opportunity to interview the brother, he and his team. Maybe you guys could answer this question. We've experienced so many dissatisfaction, truth be told, from this current administration. Most of us, many of us, let me not say most, but many of us, um, I'm gonna have to go to the comments in a bit because I was notified of some disrespectful comment. Folks, give me a break. Um, we see what's happening at the town council, generally speaking. We see the dark streets. We see the main road. Thank you, Dangriga Town Council, for taking care of in front of the main bridge. You guys are addressing that now. I acknowledge that you did a couple yards after the terminal. What can you say? What type of promise assurance? Not just you will see something different, not just we will have the blueprint. What is that blueprint? Without going to any lot of details, but what do you have to say to the people of Dangriga that will assure them that this is not going to be the same old, same old?
I think it's my ability to listen. And a key pillar of my leadership is listening to the people, consulting with them. And one of the things that we are starting as of next week, we'll be doing some community consultations. And the goal of these consultations is for us to hear directly from our residents as to what their concerns are, what their issues are, and how do they perceive their development to be, what would they like to see happen in their communities. And the reason for this is because we'll be developing some development plans. And while as political parties we do a lot of manifestos and we make a lot of promises that are not inclusive, that do not include the views of the residents who these development and these projects will directly affect. And because of my training in planning and also my expertise in writing policy, this is what I'm going to bring differently to the table. And we will be writing some development plans. And the purpose of these consultations is for us to collect data. So we'll be collecting data from our people and we'll be writing a Dangriga development plan, a community development plan for Sarawi and for Hope Creek. And this is something definitely that we're bringing differently to the table, where we'll be able to come together, come up with together both long term and short term development plans for our constituency.
Very well said. It's important that we educate the masses. It's important that we give assurance as to what we're preparing to do going into office. Here in Dangriga, we have what you call, not only in Dangriga, but nationally, we have what you call cutthroat, right? You got people where speak and say one thing and then they do something else. While you're building and while you're approaching March 2027, I want to give each, and this is for all of you, I want to give all of you this opportunity to invite the people of Dangriga, right? Why should they join the UDP? Why should they partner with the UDP? Why should they keep in touch with what you're doing with the intention to eventually vote for you? I know it's a question that is being reiterated, but it's important because we are so politically driven. Without appearing as a UDP, talk to the people.
I think as a civil as a UDP, so that one will be a little bit difficult. But as citizens, as people, we all want to belong, and we also each have something to bring to the table. We each have a skill. We have some asset to contribute, and I also know that everyone wants to participate at some level in the development of their community. And at some point, we all want to do something good. We all want to leave a mark. And if this is how you feel, then this team is for you, because that's the direction we are heading. We're not just a political party under my leadership, we are making a difference. There's something huge. And in due time, we will know what that will be. But for now, if you are about contributing positively to the development of your area, if you want to see better streets, better playground, if you want an elevated way of life, then this team is for you. If you want to be a part of a team that doesn't dictate but consults, if you want to be a part of a team that plans and prepares for development, then this team is for you. And so it's all about how you feel about how you're going to contribute to your community.
Feel free, guys. Earth, I mean not Earth, Yadira, Shirley, Aaron. Don't wait till I call on you guys.
Okay,
Just
Kaden,
talk
I
to the
will let you
people.
go. I know walking the street, we have a lot of people, especially our young people. One of their concern, they don't want to vote. They don't want to vote because they're tired of all the parties. But because of the type of people and the people who they have confidence on of, they pledge their support. So we have a we the team, the type of okay, the type of leadership we're under with Miss Earth is something different, totally different. And you guys will be seeing it more, and we start already. For example, we have a youth arm. It's a network because it's not only Miss Earth. She's our leader, but we have a lot of us do it, have our responsibility. On Monday, we started with our youth arm. They had a fruit drive and they went to Holy Ghost School, and it wasn't just for UDP. It was for all the children at Holy Ghost, and that is just one of the things that the youth arm will be doing. the youth. We have movie night that they will be doing. We have different dates for these activities, right? So we're not just focusing on our party per se. We're inclusive. Everybody we include, and from all era we get people who wants to be a part of us because the type of leadership we're under. And I want to say hats off to my caretaker because she's leading this, and every single one of us on this executive have a responsibility. Even Mr. Aaron Anderson being where he is today, he is not here in Dangriga, but he have a responsibility to on our team. So all of us we want to see change for our community, so we're doing it different. First time from my 15 years being a part of the United Democratic Party, first time I see an active executive body like this, honestly, and we work together.
We go to Shirley.
All right, let me just express my views. I honestly believe, and I'm welcoming everyone to join the Great United Democratic Party. It's a party that promotes values, all right? And when I mean promote values, it's because we discuss, share views, and influences that can make a difference in our community. And like what my colleague rightly mentioned, in the executive, we have our rules, our responsibilities, and our duties. And believe you me, our caretaker is always in communication with us as to how far you guys are, what is going on, what needs to get done, and she's right there in touch on a daily basis. So I being the leader for the National Organization for Women, I have a calendar of events that we have come up with. For example, for this month on the 28th of March, which will be
Shirley, I humbly apologize. I am getting multiple comments saying that there are individuals being rude, disrespectful in the comments. Please, I beg each and every one of you, please be respectful. Please don't come on here and attack anyone. That is so easy to do. And people who do that are shallow-minded. I refrain from that type of behavior. I did mention earlier on, Earth and I, we were like head to head on topics. Now, Earth could pick up the phone and call Cyril Uruwei because we know that we have to, if we are going to lead, we can't they go and tear each other apart. So please, I don't know who's doing it. The time I want to use this time to focus on this interview. So cut it. If you are being negative, I will have to block you from this page. Come on here and contribute something. All right? Give solutions. I apologize again, Shirley. Please proceed.
thank you, sir. Like I was saying, we have our rules, our responsibilities, and our duties to carry out in this organization as a part of the executive. And my role, I'm going to speak specifically about my role being the leader for the now UDP. Um, I also have assistants, Miss Jolene Dawson. We have sat down, we have planned, we have discussed, and one of the events that we have on board is the wellness seminar, which will be held on March 28th. That will be a Saturday at St. Ignacio Cultural Library, located on North Front Street. Front Street, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is just one of the activities that we have come up with. We also plan to do bingo bingo night, karaoke night, plan trips to Melchor, you know.
Sure, you know, invite me to Melcher.
Women appreciation days. There's so much. There's so much that we have planned, and trust me, it will be executed, fully executed.
One of the things the Women's Arm they're doing this month, it's Women's Month, and I also took a peek at your comments, and it's a woman, Shea Ramos, or probably a fake page, maybe run by DJ. But anyways, it's always women who are attacking women, and it's so sad. But I want to say that the Women's Arm, they've taken up the opportunity this month to highlight the movers and shakers of this party, who are the women. And so you would notice every day on our UDP page, we are highlighting our supporters, our campaigners, our cooks, our loyalists. And it's an opportunity for us to highlight these women during Women's History Month. And so if you are a woman up in these comments or hiding behind a fake page, attacking another woman like yourself, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should also be ashamed that you don't even have your facts straight. So my number is 610-9040. And if you have any questions about my personal life, I'm the best person to ask. Because one thing you've never gotten right is anything that you've posted about me. It's all rumors. And I'm waiting for you to post something that is true. And so if you want the tea, 610-9040, and then we'll have a chat. But shame on you as a woman to be up there in those comments trying to bring me down, a woman like yourself, even if you're hiding behind a fake profile.
Before I proceed to the next question, let's go to Brother Aaron Anderson. What have you to say, my brother?
Well, I will bring it back to the original question about inviting people and what's the difference. Um, Yadira's hint. Everybody hinted on it, but Yadira used the word I want to use, and that inclusivity. And politically, and we could say red, blue, any color before. We see a lot of ostracized people because they might not be a part of the party of the time. And I believe strongly that while we continue to unite the local United Democratic Party arm, once we start to lead into the upcoming elections and we are given the opportunity to lead the constituency, the tongue, you will see that inclusivity spread not only from within but to the community on a whole. Like red, blue, yellow, in our matter, once we can continue to see the progress that we need, because we have great minds on every aspect of our community, not only on the red or the blue or the independent or whatever color you might support politically. It's bringing together the best minds to get the job done. And I believe that I see a lot of that taking place currently with this team. And as part of the PR, I definitely understand my role. I know that there are other potential roles that we have discussed a little bit between Ms. Lopez and myself, but public relations, getting out there to the people, reaching the people where they are, and not expecting them to come to us all the time is part of that inclusion. And if you notice, not a single person here endorses any slate or is mentioning any slate. It's because we know and understand that every person wanting to represent the United Democratic Party is an asset. and we are happy that if we have three full slates wanting to contest the election, that's a good problem to have. So inclusivity is why we believe we will be different. Not only inclusive for UDPs, but inclusive to the community.
Aaron, I want to go to the comments specifically to acknowledge those who are contributing positively to this to tonight's show. And I also want to appreciate before I ask you guys to close out, usually I try not to go no later than 10. So let me take a look at the comments and then I will come back to you guys to give your closing remarks. So let's take a look at, let's see here. Let's see. Where are we? Herman Martinez. We are uniting, says Miss Earth Lopez. That song says a mouthful. Last from, says a mouthful. Lastly from me, can you ask her if she have a mayoral candidate of your own choice? Because we know how things set up. The era rep slash caretaker choice always take precedence. Peace out and good night. Would you like to comment on that before I proceed, Earth?
I believe my choice for the municipal team that will represent the United Democratic Party will be the people's choice. I have every confidence in the voters that they're going to select the best team possible to represent the United Democratic Party. And that's definitely going to be my choice as well when the time comes.
And now, Macario K. Augustine Sr. One issue at Jetty is the terms of the lease, and if it's a loan from the private sector, what the collateral. Secondly, the head tax. I'm not sure if you probably missed something here, but let me just proceed. The head tax will be totally paid to Ministry of Tourism, which is wrong. 50% should directly go to the Dangriga Town Council as how it is in Belize City. That's a very, very solid point. You spoke of the public-private partnership agreement. I know that with that agreement, the public only gets 20%, and the investors, they get 80%, and 20% is before tax. Any response to that?
That's definitely a concern for us in the UDP, and it's something that we raised with the current era representative. And his response to us was that the deal is a done deal. And because of that, then we would have to wait and see what we can do um, when given the opportunity. But at this point, his response to us was the deal is a done deal, and there's nothing else that they can do differently because all negotiations have been signed. And so we were clamoring for some of the tax to come to the Dangriga Town Council as opposed to going to central government. And we do agree with Mr. Augustine that the Dangriga Town Council should benefit from this as opposed to the central government. But their justification is that they're the ones who are investing in this project. And so they're receiving the taxes, the head taxes.
That are just because of time, I'm going to read two more comments scrolling all the way up. And if you guys have anything beneficial to share, if you have any new comment, I will scroll down after the two that I will read. Macario again, Dangriga is the hardest division to unite both PUP and UDP, particularly the UDP. Let's read one more going up. Odessa Hilak, women's, why why you don't join up with Mr. Flores and start from there. Who's Mr. Flores? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know.
Okay. Odessa, Hilak, sorry, maybe you could clarify. I'll try one more going up. I'll go back down, and then I'll give you guys the opportunity to give your closing remarks. Let's take one more from Brother Herman Martinez. If there are three slates, then isn't it wise for the party to have a UDP convention to pick, which in yes, Earth mentioned that, pick the best candidate? And lastly, as the caretaker, Earth Lopez, what will she do differently to gain the people's trust? And in the end, the people will vote for her. I think we also addressed that. Hold up for a moment. Let me scroll down, see if we have any new comments, and then I'll give you guys the opportunity um, to close out. Warrior Carib Garifuna, let's see here, my brother. What do you have? Ms. Lopez, with the rise in single women households struggling to carry the burden of managing home, how would you and your team propose to address this grossly injustice to the Garifuna community and these young children by extension?
That's a very good question. And I think that we're all struggling. It's not only single mother households that are struggling now. When we used to go to the store and buy $200 worth of groceries, it could have lasted us for the entire month. And we could have gotten bags and bags of groceries. But now you go to the store with $200 and you get like two plastic bags of groceries. And so we're all struggling, especially single mothers. So I agree with you there. And the government really has to do more to support not only single mothers, but women and individually as well. We have to do more to support women. We are celebrating Women's History Month, and the theme is balance the scales, and we really have a long way to go. We've come a long way as women. And when we look at women's participation in politics, one of the reasons why women don't want to participate in politics is for people like Shea Ramos, right? Because other people would have allowed her to discourage them. What I want to say to her and to others like her, that you will not discourage me with your propaganda and with your lies. I am a woman, I am strong, and I will not be discouraged. And I stand here as testament and as a role model to other women that you should not be discouraged from pursuing your dreams. But besides that, there is a lot more the government can do. For example, at this time, the ecumenical evening division is in crisis because the enrollment rate is low. And even those who are enrolled, they are having difficulties attending school because they don't have the support to attend school. They don't have anybody to watch their kids. They don't have a safe space, let me say, for their kids. And so, as a government and as a people, we need to be intentional about supporting women. And that is a decision that I have made already. For example, at our upcoming consultations, we will be accommodating single mothers and we will be accommodating parents who have children. You want to come to the meeting and you have children, bring them. We are got bouncy house, we are got trampoline, and we will be accommodating these children so that you can participate. So the question we need to ask ourselves government, as representatives from now, is how do we factor in not only single mothers, but everyone who may be disenfranchised by the small decisions we make on a daily basis because they have kids, they can't participate, they can't go back to school, they can't work. So one of the things that I was clamoring for when I was town councillor was for us to have subsidized night care and daycare for women who need to work and for women who need to go back to school. And that is a project that I still feel very passionate about. And this is a blueprint that I got from Costa Rica when we went there for our child friendly initiatives. We were studying child friendly cantones. And one of the major efforts that they're making in Costa Rica is that they're supporting their women, they're supporting single mothers. Because how else a woman would choose any day, and I can speak from my own experience, a woman would choose any day her kids over a job, her kids over going back to school. And why should we allow a woman to choose? We should be supporting them some more, especially when it comes to food. This government has scrapped the food pantry. In other cases, they're handpicking who they give the food to, and they're holding these people that they give the food to hostages for them to get these assistance from them. And this is very demeaning for a woman to go through, because you're given something, they expect a lot in return. And so we need support that is not conditional, because each woman deserves it. Okay.
Okay, before I go off, I want to highlight Miss Iman Avila and the chair for our youth arm, and Miss Marsha
Marsha.
Mejia. These guys, these girls, they prep a calendar for 3 months with activity for our youths, for our children. So I want to highlight them. I didn't go over the calendar, but because we're pressed on time, so but I want to highlight, you guys, when you view our page, you'll see whatever activity we're going on, and this is for everybody, not just only the UDP family, but everybody. I want to thank you, Uruwei, for having us here tonight. And it was a pleasure sharing our views, and we enjoyed your questions. And we'll continue to work together. So I'll say good night.
Thank you, Yadira. Let's go to Miss Shirley.
Okay, as we come to the end of this meeting, I would like to sincerely give thanks to you for hosting us, our viewers, for their time, the ideas and comments. And I just want to leave by saying that, you know, through this discussion, I have seen and I have felt that, yes, we as women, we can come together with a shared vision. We can build ourselves, we can build our communities, but let us do it in a positive way. Let us be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. All right? So that our communities can grow, our families can grow. We are here for the betterment and not for bitterness. So those are my final thoughts.
Absolutely, Mr. Anderson.
Always a pleasure. I feel like since the convention, the communication between you and I have definitely slowed. But I want to talk directly to Dangriga, Sarawi, and Hope Creek. We continuously talk about how dissatisfied we are with things that remain the same. And what I see is an opportunity of change, real, tangible change with working with Miss Earth and the entire team. A different mentality is starting to show and show very clear that the politicians typically have their own ideas of what they want to do. Every aspect of what has happened so far since October is a part of an outreach that happened to the community at some sort before a decision was made to move forward with XYZ idea. And again, that inclusivity, bringing the ideas of the community together and moving on that is paramount for us to grow as a community. And I want to thank Miss Earth directly for including me on her team. That basically happened the night right after her swearing in, and we started to work from then. And if we can work, we can inspire others to work and be that beacon that Dangriga, Sarawi, and Hope Creek needs as a team, not as a single person or a single voice. Then and only then can we see real positive traction and change. And I believe it's going to happen.
Absolutely. My brother, my sisters, we have come to the end of this episode for Dangriga Unmuted, March 4th, 2026. I trust that it was informative for those of you signed on tonight. I greatly appreciate your comments, those of you who signed on, especially those of you who keep it civil, who keep it positive, professional. It is okay to challenge individual. I don't shy away from a challenge. I don't see or know any of these individuals, at least for the duration of the time I've known them, that they run away from challenges. While I exit, as I'm getting ready to exit, brothers and sisters, each and every one of you here in Dangriga, and if you probably just have family in Dangriga, you probably live in the States, in the diaspora. Listen, we have our generation, our parents before us, they have done, they have, okay, I thought I lost you guys. They have left a legacy for us, a legacy which is divisive, a legacy that divides us, some of our parents, that is. Just as tonight, how we will come on a show that is meant to inform and educate the masses, to introduce ourselves, so offer what solutions we have, and then we will have others just because they support another party that they will come and personally attack individuals. You know, I've gotten so tired, so literally tired of that. I have come on here live and I just express myself freely. And even for myself, I find that, you know what? This is not working. This is not working. PUP is so passionate. PUP members are so passionate to just want to be quick to call out a UDP just because this person is a UDP. We will go nowhere like that. I am willing, I'm saying this, I am willing to give anybody a chance. I really don't care under which party you belong, as long as you appear to be sincere, as long as you appear to have the wherewithal to do the job, to hold those at the top accountable, to go and get the bacon for Dangriga. That's what I'm about. So please, I appeal to each and every one of you. From this point moving forward, it could be this show, Ubafo TV, Dangriga Unmuted. Please be civil, be kind, be respectful. All we got family. Some of got daughter, sons, ma, pa, grandpa, all we. We have feelings. But I'll tell you one thing before I leave. This is not easy. What Earth is doing is not easy. What Yadira is doing is not easy. What Aaron Anderson and my dearest sister Shirley, I remember your name now. I catch you off guard. I bet you never know I remember your name. It is not easy. You know, easy to put your name on the ballot, knowing that people will tear you apart, dig in your personal life, tell lies about you. This is not easy. So for those of you out there who believe in Earth, support her openly. For those of you who believe in whosoever is running up, this is not an easy thing. Support them. Come out boldly. Let us go out there and do what is best for Dangriga. Stop catch feelings. Stop get all emotional and tear each other apart. That is not going to work. Brothers and sisters, Earth, all of you, Aaron, Yadira, Shirley, I greatly appreciate you for coming on and share with the Dangriga community what you have in store. and what they have to look forward to this coming municipal election and beyond. Thank you so much. Aba Isini Inebese. One love and respect to those of you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
all. Thank you all. I'm disconnecting from you guys. You could disconnect yourselves. Finally, to my friends, family, all of you out there on Facebook, YouTube, I say BT Guyon. I say good night. I want to personally acknowledge Mr. Macario. I want to acknowledge Dion. I want to acknowledge each and every one of you who commented. Melaxi Garcia, I want to acknowledge you. Herman Martinez, Xavier Afiene Garcia. Greetings, Miss Castillo, Mrs. Castillo, Mr. Castillo. Thanks to each and every one of you who support Obafo TV, Dangriga Unmuted, Aba Isieni. It means one love, Inebese, respect. I'll see you again, same time, same place, right here on Facebook and YouTube. Have a good night.